Something that has preserved our civil liberties for a long time has been just the pragmatic fact that as much information as agencies collect, it was never feasible for them to be able to go through it all. AI now is making it possible to do that, to triage these huge amounts of data that are being siphoned up.
Well, it's not just possible to sift through all of that data that gets gathered about ordinary American citizens on a regular basis, because now the Trump administration is actively doing it with the help of Palantir, which of course is a data analysis firm that has ties to both Elon Musk and Peter Thiel. Great. Now, some folks in the MAGA movement, the America First crowd, are absolutely furious about this, while others aren't so concerned. And we're going to get to all of them in just a moment. But first, here are some details about what's going on here. So in March of this year, President Donald Trump signed the following executive order, stopping waste, fraud, and abuse by eliminating information silos. So the purpose of that order was essentially to facilitate what Ken Klippenstein was talking about or warning about in that clip that we just showed you, surveilling and consolidating the data of every single federal agency, or the data about us that exists in every single federal agency. And so last month, the New York Times reported that the Trump administration chose Palantir to help them with this effort. So we mentioned the company's ties to Elon Musk earlier, and that is relevant because Palantir's selection as a chief vendor for the project was driven by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, according to 6 anonymous government officials. At least 3 DOGE members formerly worked at Palantir, while 2 others had worked at companies funded by Peter Thiel, an investor and a founder of Palantir. Now, for the sake of being the fairest show in America, and also to just dispel the notion that Democrats are so much better than Republicans when it comes to these types of issues. Turns out that the Biden administration also partnered with Palantir, basically to help them facilitate the rollout of the COVID vaccines, which I actually was unaware of until today. Now, according to the Times, Palantir has a product called Foundry that organizes and analyzes data that's been collected. And so Foundry has already been implemented in 4 separate federal government agencies. And that's according to this report. So here are some examples of the kind of work that Palantir is doing, just so you have a sense of how much more terrifying our surveillance state and police state is about to be. So Palantir recently began helping Immigration and Customs enforcement and removal operations team, according to 2 Palantir employees and 2 current and former DHS officials. The work is part of a $30 million contract that ICE signed with Palantir in April to build a platform to track migrant movements in real time. Now, Palantir representatives have also had talks with the Social Security Administration and the Department of Education to use the company's technology to organize the agency's data, according to 2 Palantir employees and officials in those agencies. And we know that the federal government is willing to infringe on the rights of Americans and people who are here in the country legally with green cards, with student visas, if we dare offend the sensitivities of the wonderful government of Israel that's currently carrying out a genocide in Gaza right now. So there is some concern among people on the left, I share this concern, that well, there could be a massive collection of blackmail on Americans who dare speak out against Israel. And I'm worried about that. I'm genuinely worried about that. So we're gonna get to turmoil within the MAGA movement over this in just a minute. But Cenk, I wanna get your initial thoughts.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give you more details of how other companies are now trying to track our social media as well, to make a database of people who are having unacceptable thoughts. These are, of course, from the party of people who said that they were for freedom of speech, and they were against cancel culture, and they were against big government. So what is this? This is definitely big government. You can't argue that it's not. Here, let me pause to just emphasize this. They would collect your social security number, your bank accounts, and your medical information in the same place. So if there's any way to know anything damaging about you, just have to look at one convenient place. Oh, is there a medical problem? Is there a banking issue? Can we stop something that going into their bank accounts? Can we stop their social security? How are the different ways that we can target an American citizen? Okay.
You got to buy that double donger in cash. Don't use your debit card.
No, now they'll know. Big brother will know. Okay. So big government, big brother, I would argue potentially tyrannical government, and the deep state. How is that for deeply ironic? And this is the Trump administration. And what do we tell you guys? They're gonna do what their donors want. Palantir is a massive donor. Peter Thiel's a massive donor, obviously Elon Musk. But on top of that, remember, JD Vance's entire career was wholly invented by Peter Thiel. He was nowhere to be found in any polling. Peter Thiel gave him $10 million. He started running in Ohio, and that's how the JD Vance robot was launched into the world.
Yeah, exactly. Now look, there are some in the MAGA crowd who are upset about this, and I'm happy to see it. A lot of backlash among ordinary people on social media. So if you're on X, you'll probably notice it. Let's talk about some of the more, I guess, prominent people on the right. People like Nick Fuentes, who's, to be fair, he's been furious with Trump in the past. He's been willing to criticize Trump, so it doesn't surprise me that he would criticize Trump over this. He writes, Trump's promotion of Palantir is the ultimate betrayal of his own people, feeding every MAGA extremist into an AI database controlled by CIA Mossad cutout. Seriously, if Palantir isn't the deep state, then what is? By the way, who leaked Glenn Greenwald's tape? Just asking questions. Nick Fuentes also says, never forget that JD Vance owes his entire existence to Palantir co-founder Peter Thiel. And that is why every Thiel-funded shill on this site is constantly glazing him and astroturfing support for a presidential run in 2028. Now, let's move over to Alex Jones, who is now a shell of what he used to be, because if anyone was vociferously speaking out against the police state, the surveillance state, the deep state, it was Alex Jones. But now he's being a good little boy, kind of going along with what's happening here. Let's take a look.
Palantir and the surveillance systems and the AI and all of it has been an outlier from the bigger companies. And it's been wanting to get big contracts. And Trump wants to use it to track illegal aliens and stuff, and the real ID that they're trying to bring in that's terrible, that never got implemented because it's unconstitutional. So I've been critical of all of that, and I obviously don't trust Palantir and the rest of the stuff it's doing. But it is small compared to all the other big AI and the Pentagon, Sentinel, and all the rest of it. The reason you're seeing the attacks on it everywhere is because it's trying to get contracts that other big tech companies already have, and because Palantir has been supportive of Trump. And so, yeah, Trump is going to them because they've been supporters. But all this hype about Palantir, all of these systems can be used for control. All these systems are out of control. All the AIs are woke.
Wait, what? Well, that was the most pathetic defense of a surveillance program that will negatively impact Americans that I've ever heard in my life. Wow. I mean, I don't know, Alex Jones, what kind of nasty stuff have you gotten into? What kind of blackmail does Peter Thiel have on you? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. To the point where you are willing to provide cover for this? Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jake?
So we're not quoting Fuentes and Alex Jones here as legitimate sources. We're just telling you what the right wings do, right? So, and Fuentes is part of the right wing, and obviously that's why he gets into this story. And then Alex Jones is interesting because, you know, he's the guy who's been telling us for the last 10, 20 years, like, you gotta watch out for big government. They're gonna collect all of your information in one place, and they're gonna be able to blackmail you, and big government's gonna be tyrannical, I tell you. Now, all of a sudden, Palantir and Peter Thiel are doing it. I don't know where Where does the money come from? Anything? I don't know. But Peter Thiel finances a ton of right-wing politicians and right-wing media, right? So then all of a sudden, Alex Jones is like, well, Palantir, it's pretty good. You collect all the information in one place, so you can just blackmail people right away. And if they're American citizens and they're criticizing Israel, that's when you get them, right? Wait, what? What happened? So well, you saw
no, it's
that
amazing.
tape,
but
yes.
by the way, I mean, really, it's woke to attack Palantir for wanting a more robust surveillance state that negatively impacts America. It's woke. It's woke to be against that.
I don't know. Look, I mean, so much of what he says is so absurd. Like, I think he said the AI is woke.
Yeah, super woke. Nothing more woke than AI.
So the frogs are gay and the AI is woke, but don't worry if big government is tracking all of your movements.
Right.
Wait, what? So there's one more thing. Aaron Cohn is apparently some sort of Israeli special forces veteran, and he was on Fox News the other night with Sean Hannity, and he said, don't worry, that he has something that's AI powered, that is a threat detection system for radicalization in social media. So if you're writing anything that he says is pro-Hamas, which means criticizing Israel, they're gonna track you and they're gonna put it into a database and make sure that the American government punishes you. And then he adds on top, it's Israeli model means that Palantir quality engineering. So don't worry, everybody. It's an Israeli model, and it's just like Palantir, but on top of tracking all of your personal information, it also tracks social media for any unacceptable opinions, which will soon be illegal if you say about a foreign government, okay? So good thing Big Brother's not here. Glad some portion of right wing are rebelling. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.